eternity, a mortal being will attain the divine kingdom of the Lord, where the inviolable power of death holds no sway. For this purpose, many persons, including great kings, abandoned their mundane homes and took to the forest. So that's an actual text, not just a...
Where is this? Which?
Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 90th chapter, text 50.
1090, 15?
50.
Oh, 1090, 50. Thank you.
I was looking for ones that are actual texts, not in the purport. There's a lot of
Right.
purports too. Instruction should be given to the faithful devotee who is respectful to the spiritual master, non-envious, friendly to all kinds of living entities, and eager to render service with faith and sincerity. That's a verse also. I believe he's coming.
What time is it?
7.
Oh, 7:03. I'm late, sorry. Oh, it's only one person on right now that I could see. Can you give me a Bhagavad Gita?
Nand Gopal, our regular.
Yeah, it's the only one brave enough. Yeah, Nanda Gopal. What does that say? US what? Anyway. Om Jnana Timidandasya Ganajana Shalakaya Chakshu Militam Jena Tajmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishware Rishabhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So up to chapter 3, text 23, is it? I don't see it when I know it. 23, 22. The 22. Okay, so, it's up there now. Name partasti kartavyam.
Name partasti kartavyam.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Nanavaptam avaptavyam.
Nanavaptam avaptavyam.
Varteva cha karmani.
Varteva cha karmani.
Name partasti kartavyam.
Name partasti kartavyam.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Nanavaptam avaptavyam.
Nanavaptam avaptavyam.
Varteva cha karmani.
Varteva cha karmani.
Name partasti kartavyam.
Name partasti kartavyam.
Lokeshu kinchana.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Nanavaptam avaptavyam.
Nanavaptam avaptavyam.
Varta eva cha karmani.
Bhattaiva cha karmani.
Te partasti kartavyam.
Name partasti kartavyam.
Ishu lokeshu kinchana.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Anavaptam avaptavyam.
Nanavaptam
Nanavaptavyam
avaptavyam.
vaptavyam.
Artha eva cha karmani.
Bhattaiva cha
Vartaiva cha
karmani.
karmani. Name partasti kartavyam.
Name partasti kartavyam.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Nanavaptam avaptavyam.
Nanavaptam avaptavyam.
Varta eva cha karmani.
Bhattaiva cha karmani.
Name partasti kartavyam.
Name
Name
partasti
partasti
kartavyam.
kartavyam.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Nanavaptam avaptavyam.
Nanavaptam
Nanavaptam
avaptavyam.
Varta eva cha karmani.
Bhattaiva cha
Vartaiva cha karmani.
Name partasti kartavyam.
Name partasti kartavyam.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Nanavaptavyam avaptavyam.
Nanavaptam avaptavyam.
Karta eva cha karmani.
Vartaiva cha karmani.
Anyone else?
Name partasti kartavyam.
Name partasti kartavyam.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Nanavaptam avaptavyam.
Nanavaptam avaptavyam.
Varta eva cha karmani.
Varta eva cha karmani.
नामे पार्थ स्थित कर्तव्यम
Name partasti kartavyam.
त्रिषु लोकेषु किंचन
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
नानावाप्तम अवाप्तव्यम
Nanavaptam avaptavyam.
वर्त एव च कर्मणि
Varta eva cha karmani.
Na,
Na,
not,
Not.
may,
me,
mine,
mine,
Partha,
Partha,
O son of Prita,
O son of Prita,
Asti,
Asti,
there is,
there is,
Kartavyam,
Kartavyam,
prescribed duty,
prescribed duty,
Rishu,
Trishu,
in the three,
in the three,
Lokeshu,
Lokeshu,
planetary systems,
planetary systems,
Chana,
Kinchana,
any,
any,
na,
na,
nothing,
nothing,
anavaptam,
Navaptam,
wanted,
wanted,
avaptavyam,
Avaptavyam,
be gained,
To be gained.
to be gained,
Varte,
Varte,
I am engaged,
I am engaged,
Eva,
Eva,
certainly,
certainly,
Ka,
Cha,
also,
also,
Armani,
Karmani,
prescribed duty.
In
in prescribed duty.
Translation, oh, if everyone could be muted. Translation, O son of Prita, there is no work prescribed from me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. Nama Om Krishna Padaya Krishna Pustaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachani Nivasesa Sunyavadi Pastachade Satarani. How do I change this view? Oh, I can't change the view because you got this up. Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is described in the Vedic literatures as follows. Tam Ishvaranam Paramam Maheshwaram Tam Devatanam Paramam Chadaivatam Patim Patinam Paramam Parastad Vidama Devam Bhuvanesham Aidyam Natasya Karyam Karanam Chavidyate Nat Tat Samas Chabhyad Dikas Chadrisyate Parasya Shakti Vividaiva Shuyate Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriyacha. And now this is what that says, and it says it's from the Vedic literatures. The Supreme Lord is the controller of all other controllers, and he is the greatest of all the diverse planetary leaders. Everyone is under his control. All entities are delegated with particular power only by the Supreme Lord. They are not supreme themselves. He is also worshipable by all demigods and is the supreme director of all directors. Therefore, he is transcendental to all kinds of material leaders and controllers and is worshipable by all. There is no one greater than him, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. That was the first verse. I guess the next verse is, he does not possess bodily form like that of an ordinary living entity. There is no difference between his body and his soul. He is absolute. All his senses are transcendental. Any one of his senses can perform the action of any other sense. Therefore, no one is greater than him or equal to him. His potencies are multifarious, and thus his deeds are automatically performed as a natural sequence. Svatara Upanishad 6, 7, and 8. Since everything is in full opulence in the personality of Godhead and is existing in full truth, there is no duty for the Supreme Personality of Godhead to perform. One who must receive the results of work has some designated duty, but one who has nothing to achieve within the three planetary systems certainly has no duty. And yet, Lord Krishna is engaged on the battlefield of Kurukshetra as the leader of the Kshatriyas, because the Kshatriyas are duty bound to give protection to the distressed. Although he is above all the regulations of the revealed scriptures, he does not do anything that violates the revealed scriptures. So I'll read the translation once again. O son of Prita, there is no work prescribed for me within all three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. So, I mean, taking this out of context, it's not as good, but go back just a little bit. Let's see. Without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty. For by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. Kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. O son of Prita, there is no work prescribed for me within all the 3 planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything. Yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. So even if you don't have any real reason to work, I mean, what are the reasons? People work because they have to. Well, nobody. If you turn on your video, you'll get a special gift at the end of the class. Okay, you all know that I'm not telling the truth. Oh, one person. Okay, all right, thank you.
Nobody believes you.
Okay, but this is nice. Nor am I in want of anything. People work because they want something. That's why they work. They don't work because they just want to please their boss. Nor have I a need to obtain anything. So I might not want anything, but I do need things. No, he doesn't need anything. He doesn't want anything, doesn't need anything. Yet he engaged in prescribed duties. And it's interesting, these verses here, well, actually at the very end, although he is above all the regulations of the revealed scriptures, he does not do anything that violates the revealed scriptures. Well, he does do things that violates the revealed scriptures.
Every now and then.
But he does his duty. He does everything right. But the only time he really does something which is against the revealed scriptures, of course, the king is above the law. God is above all laws, so he can do anything he wants. But he generally follows the rules to set an example. But the only time he doesn't is to give pleasure to his devotees. He doesn't do it for himself, but for his devotees, he does it. He'll make some exception and doesn't care about anything. He just wants to please the devotees. Just like in the Battle of Kurukshetra, when he picked up the chariot wheel to fight Bhishma Dev, and he had made a vow that he wouldn't fight in the battle, but he went to fight. And Prabhupada says Krishna would rather be known as the protector of his devotees than the great moralist who never breaks his solemn vow. He doesn't care about his vow, he cares about his devotees. So sometimes there are exceptions, but in general, Krishna does do things to set an example. And of course, this is the argument for Arjuna and for us, that we should do our duty. We shouldn't, renounce our duty. We can renounce our duty, but then we're accepting another duty. If we get into the renounced order of life, then we're accepting that is our new duty, is the duty of a renunciate, of a sannyasi. But we still have duties. Everyone has to perform some duty. And Krishna is telling Arjuna what your duty is. It's also interesting where Krishna, the Supreme Lord is the controller of all of the controllers, and he is the greatest of all the diverse planetary leaders. Of course, everyone is under his control. All entities are delegated with particular power only by the Supreme Lord. So whatever power we got, even Hiranyakashipu, he asked his son Prahlad, where do you get this superhuman strength? He said, the same place you get your strength, but I acknowledge it and you don't. So even the demons get their strength from the Lord. Everyone gets their strength from the Lord. Everyone is empowered by the Lord if those are empowered with any abilities at all. Krishna says, I'm the ability in man. They are not supreme themselves. They get their power from Krishna. He is also worshipable by all the demigods and is the supreme director of all directions. Therefore, he is transcendental to all kinds of material leaders and controllers and is worshipable by all. There is no one greater than him, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. So if you're in this category, you can do anything you want to do or not do something. Now, even there's people who work or don't have to work, nor am I in want of anything. So you're born in such a rich, aristocratic family, you don't need anything. You got everything. Nor have I a need to obtain anything. You don't need to obtain anything. But yet, they're engaged in the prescribed duties. Now, that's a problem. Sometimes they may not do anything and they just waste their lives. And the next birth, who knows what they'll be. But they're supposed to be responsible. Even rich people's sons or daughters are supposed to be responsible and do some duty, do some service. Of course, ultimately, it's for Krishna to try to do this service without attachment to the results. So everyone has to act. If you don't act, you can't even maintain your body, physical body. You can't just do nothing and expect that your body is going to be there. There was I don't know how true these things were, but I remember, 60 years ago, newspaper, the Inquirer, they have a person with nails, the longest nails in the world, and they're like huge nails. But then they said, because he wants to keep this record, really careful, and he's not using this hand to do anything, or whatever hand it was, only one hand. And he was losing the power in that arm. It was becoming weak. If you don't use something, you lose it. So I don't know what happened to that guy. He had really nice long nails. but I think his power to use that arm may have gone, but he still won. He got the longest nails in the world. So if you don't use this body, you lose it. You lose the body whether you use it or not, but you lose it even faster. You have to use your body. And you also your mind. If you don't use your mind, then your mind just become what's another word besides stupid? A vegetable.
They color, people.
Right. They become vegetables. So you have to move, you have to act, and ultimately you have to act for Krishna. So this second part, he does not possess bodily form. This is talking about Krishna, like that of an ordinary living entity. We have form, he has form, but his is different. His is spiritual form. There's no difference between his body and his soul. Krishna's body is himself. We're the soul and we have a body. Krishna has a body, and that body is him. It's transcendental, spiritual. I remember Satchidananda Vigraha, a form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. And I had somebody telling me, how can you have a form made of bliss and knowledge? In eternity. It's like, it's the same thing I was saying, when was it? On Sunday. It's just because it's not in your experience doesn't mean it doesn't exist. What, like Prabhupada said, what is your tiny experience you have? What do you have experience of? Nothing compared to this universe, compared to the other universes, compared to the spiritual world. You have no experience, practically speaking. And yet you're saying, oh, this can't be. We can't understand how you can have a form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. Who would understand you can have a form of blood and mucus and bile and bones and skin and hair and have a form all made of that? That's pretty gross. But we're witnesses to that you can have such a form. So there is no difference between his body and his soul. He is absolute. All his senses are transcendental. Any one of his senses can perform the actions of any other sense. So we can't do that. And you might say, how can he do that? How can you see with your ears? How can you chant, with your hands? How can you talk with your hands? Well, people do talk with their hands. but you can actually hear it. Krishna can do anything. And of course, we know he can eat with his eyes. He can eat with his ears. He can eat he can eat by touching. So his senses are interchangeable. And Prabhupada says, when we go to the spiritual world, our senses are also interchangeable. So people can't really sneak up on you. You can see them with your skin, with your hair. So, even though you lose some of the fun that you could have here, you get other things you can do. All his senses are transcendental. Any one of his senses can perform the action of any other sense. Therefore, no one is greater than him or equal to him. His potencies are multifarious, and thus his deeds are automatically performed as a natural sequence. Anyway, those are the two verses from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. And then Prabhupada goes on to say, since everything is in full opulence in the personality of Godhead and is existing in full truth, there is no duty for the Supreme Personality of Godhead to perform. So he has everything, all opulences, he's the most beautiful, the most famous, the strongest, the most renounced, and the wisest. I don't know if I said that. I don't know if I left any out. Probably. Anybody know what I may have left out? I don't know if I left any. I'll do it on my fingers. Okay, he's the strongest, he's the most famous, he's the most beautiful, he's the most intelligent, he's the most renounced, and he's the richest. So if you have all those things, why do you got to work? It seems like, why would you want to work? But he works because his work is play. We also say, devotional services joyfully performed. You do your services joyful. Although some people may not always experience that joy when they're doing their service. I know my son had a problem with that. And we sent him on the bus tour, and he lasted a week. And when he came back, he said, they make you work and they tell you it's fun. They make you work and they tell you it's fun. But he only saw it as work.
Even the conditioning didn't help him. Huh?
So, but it is fun. If you do it for Krishna, you have to have the right mentality. One who must receive the results of work has some designated duty. But for one who has nothing to achieve within the three planetary system, certainly has no duty. And yet Lord Krishna is engaged on the battlefield of Kurukshetra as the leader of the Kshatriyas. Lord Krishna used to be a cowherd boy. He was a Vaishya. All of a sudden, now he's a Kshatriya. But he's working. He was working as a cowherd boy, and now he switched. He doesn't belong to any of these varnas, but he can act in anyone he wants to. But he appeared. He was actually a Kshatriya when he appeared, but then he was brought to the house of Nanda Maharaj and Mother Jashoda, which is the king and queen of the cowherdsmen, and so he became the leader of the cows and calves, the calves. but then he went back to being a Kshatriya and went to Dwarka. So, okay, Kshatriya, as a leader of the Kshatriyas, because the Kshatriyas are duty bound to give protection to the distressed. They have to give protection, even if you're an enemy. If you surrender, they have to protect you. I mean, there's examples of that bird. What is Nimi? What's his? Anybody could help me here with the name? Shibi or something, King Shibi or something like that. And he was, some bird came who was being chased by another bird. So he gave it protection. He came to him for protection. He protected it. But the other bird said, hey, I got to get my food. He said, well, at least give me some food. He said, I'll give you food that's equal in weight to the other bird, and weighed the bird and put more and more. But finally, he put his whole body on top of the scale. He gave up his whole life, but then he didn't have to give up his whole life because they were just demigods testing what a great Kshatriya he was. So that's one example. Krishna's duty bound to give protection. Another time with Maharaj Parikshit, when he found Kali beating a cow and a bull, and he took his sword, he was going to kill him, but then he surrendered to him. And therefore he had to give him protection. And he said, you have to leave my kingdom. He said, I can't leave. Your kingdom is everywhere. He said, well, you can go where there are people, having illicit sex, intoxication, meeting, or gambling. You can go there. He said, there's nowhere in your kingdom where that's going on. You have to give me some place to go. So he said, okay, you can go where there's hoarding of gold. And apparently there was some people hoarding gold at that time, so he had a place. So just from that little place to start, from hoarding of gold, he's gotten everybody pretty much. So like Maya, she doesn't need much also. Just give her a little. That's all she's asking. Don't have to do all these big things, really bad things. No, I'm not asking. Just do this one little thing. That seems pretty harmless. And then you do that. Now I got him. And then now you just do this little bit more, and little more. And then you're stuck, and she's controlled by Maya. So, but the protection is there. Even with Srila Prabhupada, they caught, in Mayapur, they caught someone stealing, just some Indian man stealing from the temple. It's Indian man because it's in India. Okay, not. And they brought him to Srila Prabhupada, and the police were there, and the police wanted to arrest him, but he surrendered to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, what can I do? He surrendered to me. I have to protect him. And he told the police not to. And they said, he's just doing this. No, he doesn't get arrested. He said, it doesn't matter. If he surrendered to me, and I have to protect him. So Prabhupada, of course, is not foolish. And he has a lot of followers who are very dedicated. And he told one of them to watch this guy. And if he leaves, you catch him and bring him here. So he did pretty well for a few days. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. and then I don't know what time, maybe early in the morning, he was sneaking out with a bag and stuff, and of course the devotee was watching him very attentively. And he caught him and brought him to Prabhupada. The police were there, and he's saying, Prabhupada, I'll surrender. So he said, what can I do? I gave you a chance, and you. I don't think he said, and you blew it, but he said something in those terms, meaning the same thing. And then the police arrested him. So, but Prabhupada did give him a chance because he tried to surrender. But he was pretty sure that he wasn't going to surrender, and so were the police. Okay, 37. I think I kind of went over the purport. Okay, I'll read the verse again, see if anyone has any questions. O son of Prita, there is no work prescribed for me within all the 3 planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything. And yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. So he's only doing it to set an example. There's no other reason he's doing it. Because there's no reason for it. Okay, anyone have any questions or comments? Shiva just walked in. She may have a question. No. Yes, Nanda Gopal.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you. So during the class, you mentioned regarding experience. So when you are neophyte in the Krishna consciousness, how to seek that experience which will lead to test, because it's not
Which will lead to what?
experience which leads to like test in chanting the holy names.
I don't know what you're saying.
Leads
Test
to
and
test.
change.
Taste. It
Yeah,
says
sorry for
taste.
Hey,
sorry for my pronunciation. I'm from India, so.
yeah. Sound like you have a mask on.
Taste.
Taste. Now, what about the taste? Because I forgot the rest now that
Okay, I'll ask the question again. So you mentioned regarding an experience. So not yeah. So while we are a neophyte in Krishna consciousness, how to get that experience in executing your devotional service per se, and then which leads to test of, sorry, not.
Why do you have to have the experience? What do you do to get a taste? That's not the same thing. Why do you have to have the middle part? Make it
Okay.
more confusing. Okay, because I mentioned something about.
Yes,
you have to try to-
yeah.
So what do you do to get a taste? You have to first have experience.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Krishna says as you surrender unto me, I reward you accordingly. And how does he reward us? He rewards us with a higher taste. Param Dvistvarni Vartate. By experience a higher taste, you give up the lower taste. So that higher taste is there. Even chanting. I was thinking I'm chanting today, and I'm thinking of all different things. Thinking of me, this, me, that, and I'm thinking of me. What am I thinking of me? I should be thinking of Krishna. So then if you start trying to hear Krishna, try to think of Krishna, think of Prabhupada. Even while you're chanting, try to fix your mind on Krishna, try to fix your mind on hearing. You have to make that effort, a conscious effort, and then you'll get a taste. You will get something. As you surrender, he rewards us. And he's not, it's not like he's rewarding us with material things. He's rewarding us with spiritual things. We're getting a taste. And once we get this taste, that helps fix us up so we don't fall away later on. We think about that. We know that was real. So you have to surrender to Krishna. Everyone has to do that. You have to make that effort, conscious effort, sincere effort. We're not caring about ourselves, just care about Krishna. When we do that, even in just a particular service we have, then Krishna will reciprocate. That's how else can you get a taste? If you just do it mechanically, you're probably not going to get much of a taste, if anything. But it can't be mechanical. It has to be really sincere. It's just between you and Krishna. I'm going to try Krishna, and Krishna knows if you're trying. Doesn't matter the results. The results are up to Krishna, but if we make a sincere effort, that's what Krishna cares about. And it's not, I was in class in Atlanta, Georgia. Srila Prabhupada was giving class. And he talked well, there was questions. Someone asked, if you die and your body is engaged in serving Krishna, do you go back to Godhead? And I thought that was a good question, because I try to keep my body engaged in serving Krishna, at least at that time. And then Prabhupada started answering, and he's quoted Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vayu Kamano Budevacha Ahankara Itya, Vina Pakriti Asada. And I'm thinking, what is he saying? It's like, it's a yes or no answer. I'm thinking, honestly, I was thinking Srila Prabhupada didn't understand the question. And he explains, we have this body, it's made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And he explained a little bit about that. Then he explained that we have a subtle body, mind, intelligence, and false ego. And he got into that. And then I realized, unless someone was really listening carefully to what he was saying, they would miss this point, where then he finally says, so yes, if your body is engaged in serving Krishna and you die, you go back to him. But he explained you have two bodies, not just this gross body. So you really, he seemed to be saying is your gross body and your subtle body, if they're in both engaged in serving Krishna, then you'll go back to Krishna. But I think most people, when he gave his answer, because he went about it in like a real roundabout way, I think for two reasons. One is because it's the truth, and the other is to encourage the devotees also, because to get your mind serving Krishna all the time, it's easier to get your body to always engage, but to get your mind, it's much harder. So to encourage the devotees. I think he also said it for that reason. But that's what we have to do. We have to use not just our gross body, but our subtle body has to serve Krishna too. And that's harder to do. And for some people, it's hard to just get their gross body to serve Krishna. People are at different levels. But that's relatively easy for those who have done it. And for those who can control their mind and senses, using their intelligence, they may also think that that's easy, because you're already doing it, it's easy. And it's not even that easy just to keep your physical body always engaged in Krishna's service, but it's certainly easier than keeping your mind engaged. But we should make an effort. I'm not sure what the question was, but that's what I got for an answer. Itamala?
No, I was just thinking also that taste, even when we taste something, a little sample of something, we get the taste of what it is, right?
Yes.
So, like when we like something, when we sample, then we want to learn to make it, learn to cook it, and want more of it. So in a sense, even if we get a little sample of Krishna consciousness, we would want more of it and want more of that taste, I would think, right?
Yeah, but I don't agree that you'd want to cook it. I think you'd want to at least get someone to cook it for you. Or if you're into cooking, to cook it yourself.
So, not all of us have someone to cook for us, but
I've tried following recipes and I'm not very good at it.
But basically, I was saying, even if we get a little sample of it, we would want more.
Right. I know. No, that point came across very well. When you get it, you taste it and you like it, you want more of it, you remember it, you want to get it.
Right.
So we get a taste and we should want more, but then we have to surrender more.
And we may not have the full taste just yet, but at least a sample, yeah.
I know, but with that sample, we have to do a lot more to get another sample.
Oh, yeah. And this is a tough recipe too.
Yeah, and we can't just have somebody else get us that sample.
You gotta work at it. Yeah.
That one you have to do yourself. Pay somebody.
Unfortunately, you can't. Wish I could pay somebody to go back home. No, I can't.
What?
Wish I could pay somebody to go
Oh,
back
yeah,
home
yeah.
to Godhead. I said, I can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that. I mean, you can pay your spiritual master by giving your life.
That's true. But you got this one
you can
ticket you
never
gotta pay for yourself.
But you can never repay the debt to your spiritual master.
That is true. That is true.
I mean, what do we give him? What can we give him? Even if we give him our whole life, if he gives us Krishna Loka at the end of this life, how can we repay him for whatever we gave him is nothing compared to what we're going to get.
Amazing. It's mercy.
I know one devotee borrowed money from his guru and then he didn't pay him back. And his guru asked, hey, you haven't paid me back. And he said, well, you can never repay the debt to your spiritual master. And that's a true story. But I think he probably paid him back, but he did tell him that.
The sense of humor. Huh?
Yeah. Okay, so no other comments, questions? Okay, so the next verse. I can read the next verse. It's pretty short purport. 23, text 23. Yadihi aham nav arteyam jatu karmanyatandritaha mamar manu vartante manusya partha savashaha. For if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. So now this is the point of why he's doing it. Purport. In order to keep the balance of social tranquility for progress in spiritual life, there are traditional family usages meant for every civilized man. Although such rules and regulations are for the conditioned souls and not Lord Krishna, because he descended to establish the principles of religion, he followed the prescribed rules. And by the way, I mean, he came for this reason, but he followed the prescribed rules. But his following the prescribed rules is ecstasy. He has, a great time no matter what he does. Otherwise, common men would follow in his footsteps if he didn't follow the rules, because he is the greatest authority. So we would say, well, he didn't do it. I don't have to do it. He's showing us how to do it. So from the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is understood that Lord Krishna was performing all the religious duties at home and out of home as required of a householder. He would even meditate. He would sit and meditate on himself. I mean, because who else is he going to meditate on? I mean, maybe Radharani, but that's also pretty much himself, his pleasure potency. So he set an example. What a great man does, come and follow. The standards he sets, all the world pursues. So he set a very good example. There are a few exceptions, and that's because he's Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he gives pleasure to his devotees. And if he has an opportunity to do that, even if he's not following one of these particular principles or religious principles, he doesn't mind breaking it to give pleasure to his devotees. That comes first. But in general, he does follow the rules and showing us that we should follow the rules. And even when he breaks the rules, it doesn't give us a license to break the rules. He can do that. For the king, there is, there's no, he's above the law. Or in a prison house, we see that the warden is in the prison house. So we don't think the warden is in jail because the warden's in the prison house. The warden is doing some business in the prison house. The prisoners can't leave, the warden leaves. So Krishna, he comes and he's like, he's not a prisoner. We're all prisoners. And he's just helping us so we can get out of here, telling us how to get out of here. And there's certain rules and regulations, you follow them, and that helps. Ultimately, you have to come beyond following them just externally or materially, but you have to actually come to the point of understanding Krishna and following them for Krishna's pleasure. And then you don't have to come back to this material world again. And that's our goal. Our goal is not to come back here again. At least that should be our goal. And not to merge into the Brahma Jyoti. That's not, I mean, to me, that's worse than staying here. At least here we can have a relationship with Krishna. We can perform service to Krishna. The Brahma Jyoti, we don't, is like, it's only the impersonal aspect of Krishna is all we know. Not much. I mean, it's much better than, it's spiritual. So the feeling you'll have in the Brahma Jyoti is much better than any feeling you can have here. But it's not anything compared to what you can experience by actually pleasing Krishna. And I'm going to read the translation again. For if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. I mean, if we look at Lord Ramachandra, he followed everything perfectly. And, you know, he's also the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's following everything. I don't think he did anything ever wrong. Imagine that, going your whole life not doing anything ever wrong. So duty bound, just does his duty, whatever it is, follows the authority, knows how you have to treat this person. This person is this person. There's different grades of people, some lower, some higher, how you deal with everybody. And he did it all perfectly, Lord Ramachandra. So he's also set the perfect example. So, and of course, when we see pure devotees, we see them, they're also setting the perfect example. So we have to try to emulate them and try to surrender to Krishna. And at first, it may be mechanical or it may just be external. But if we keep trying, then it'll eventually, the subtle aspects of the surrender will also be there, will also occur. We will also surrender our subtle body, not just our gross body. But it takes time. And in one sense, we don't have time because we only got such a small amount of time for the end of this life. But that's what we have this whole life for. It's to help us to just, if we start surrendering and when we're young, when we get older, we'll be much more surrendered. And even if for some reason we don't get this special mercy from Krishna at the end of this life, the worst that happens is we have to take birth again and just continue where we left off. Although we shouldn't want to do that. And Prabhupada says you shouldn't do that because then he has to come back for us. So we don't want him to come back for us. So we just keep trying. Just don't give up. If you don't give up, you will succeed. That's guaranteed, sooner or later. Okay, so I guess, any last chance, any questions or comments? Well, we'll offer our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord.
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः कोटि वैष्णव की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय प्यारे मोहन प्रभु की जय
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna, glories to Prabhupada.